I'm Dan, this is Guns & Guitars, and this is the unboxing, building, and review of a cheap Chinese Stratocaster build-it-yourself kit you can get on eBay for about $57. Now, when I ordered this on eBay, clearly it was made in China. However, it did ship from a US warehouse in La Puente, California, so I actually got it here in Arizona in about 3 days. Now let's take a closer look at this kit. This is extremely rough cut CNC machine work, not cleanly cut and shaped, and the basswood lacks a nice wood grain. However, the maple neck is beautifully figured. It's nice and straight and features jumbo frets. The neck and body are numbered with the same number, which leads me to believe that they were actually test fitted in the factory. And the fit is much better than I expected. Even though it does have a tiny amount of slop in it, it's definitely usable. Both the neck and body have some glue spots that will need to be scraped or sanded before a finish is applied. The hardware is nothing special, but it certainly gets the job done. The kind of stuff you would find on low-budget guitars like today's Squires and Epiphones. The strings are completely trash, however, definitely the worst part about this kit. The electronics were pre-wired and set in the pick guard for easy installation, but for some reason they used 500K pots. Typically with single coil pickups you'd want 250K pots. Putting this thing together only took about 2 hours total, but there weren't any instructions and nor were there any pilot holes drilled. So putting it together required some guess and check to make sure I was using the correct screws and mounting things in the correct places. Soldering was only required in 2 places, the green ground wire soldered to the spring claw, and the white hot and black ground wires soldered to the output jack. In both cases, it was a breeze. If you have any soldering ability whatsoever, this won't be a problem. Once the guitar is put together, you're going to need to do a basic setup or else the guitar is not going to be playable. This means using the included Allen wrenches to adjust the truss rod, and then using the smaller Allen key to adjust the string height on the bridge saddles. Even with these adjustments, the guitar still doesn't play super awesome. It's got some buzzing frets, it's got some uneven string heights, it's got some out-of-tune notes, and these are all due to the fact simply that the frets have not been leveled and crowned properly. A true setup of this guitar should fix those issues, and I'll show you how to do that in the next video. But first, let's take this thing for a test drive. And we'll compare this thing to an American-made Fender Strat, just for kicks. For this test, I'll be recording straight into Logic Pro using this Focusrite Scarlett USB interface. And I'll also be using Logic Pro's Boutique Tweed amp simulation with the same levels and settings for both guitars. That way you can hear the tonal differences between the two. Quick disclaimer, I'm actually a bass player, so I know I kind of suck at guitar. And remember, this guitar is built stock with all the included parts and accessories, including these terrible, terrible strings. Let's start first with the American Strat neck pickup. As you can see, the tone of this guitar can't even compare to the American Strat, and that's for a few reasons. One, these strings are awful. Seriously, I wouldn't even use these strings to cut cheese. 2, the electronics are poor quality and the pot values are incorrect. And 3, the body on this guitar is made of basswood instead of alder or ash like a typical American Strat would be made of. Now, basswood isn't necessarily bad per se, just different. Basswood is a softer wood, so it has a more even frequency response, whereas alder or ash are denser woods, so they tend to favor the higher frequencies. These woods are usually described as brighter or snappier. One isn't necessarily better than the other, they're just different. Basswood gets a bad rap just because it's inexpensive and it lacks that beautiful wood grain that you're looking for. But if you do your research, there's actually a lot of high-end guitars made of basswood that sound killer. Now, comparing playability, this kit still doesn't stand up to the American Stratocaster. It just feels, well, cheap. The string action is high, it has buzzing frets, the strings feel more like rubber bands than nickel-plated steel, and overall it just feels really rough in the hands. But that's simply because it hasn't had a good setup, seen a good set of strings, or had a finish applied to it yet. I honestly feel like with a little elbow grease, this could feel like a really high-end guitar. And with some hardware and electronics upgrades, it could sound like one too. So to summarize, things that are cool! The cheap price of $56. The neck was beautiful and straight. Yeah, that's it. Things that suck! Low-end hardware. Found glue spots on the wood. It's in rough shape in general. The strings are completely unusable. And just slapping this kit together isn't really going to get you a playable guitar. You'll definitely need some upgrades and a good setup. But for the price that you pay, this kit's actually a great value. It's fun to build, and depending on how much work you want to put into it, and how good you are with tools, you could actually probably get a good guitar out of it. And if you screw it up, just hang it on the wall and call it art. But seriously, for 56 bucks, it's almost worth it just to hang it on the wall. Be sure to subscribe to this channel because in the next video, I'm going to show you what it takes to make a high-end guitar out of one of these cheapo kits. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars, and thanks for watching. And if you thought my guitar playing was terrible, be sure to let me know in the comments.